let's catch up to all the traffic.
Yeah, why not?
And see, downshift. Yeah, use all the track. And we're good.
You can't say anything
440i.
against this on power.
No, you really can't.
The BMW 440i xDrive Gran Coupè. See if I can add a couple extra words on there. The beaver-teethed green one. There's the title.
It's a mouthful of name and beaver teeth. Everything
yes,
up there.
It's all of the above. There's a lot going on here.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
TV, web, and podcast. This is Everyday Driver.
Well, here it is. BMW is the king of niche models. You remember this, right? Because they will insert some sort of niche thing between two models you thought there really wasn't much difference between the two. This is the next generation, and it is 6 inches longer. The wheelbase is almost 2 inches longer.
Yep, it's bigger.
It's 2 inches taller. It's 1 inch wider. The track is wider. Everything about this car is bigger, bigger than it was. Wow, I'm going fast. Faster than I
You don't have to try in this car. It just does that.
You really don't.
That's the thing that BMW is actually best at. I still think that they may be the king of drivetrains.
You think so? Of drivetrains.
And what I mean is just the engine transmission combinations are smooth and powerful and faster than you think in any of their models. It doesn't matter what you're talking about.
That's true.
And
okay.
almost every time I read a stat from BMW on their powertrain, I just think, no, it's more powerful than that.
They're sandbagging because it's lightning fast. It is so good off the line. Well, that's because it has that 48-volt starter generator.
It has that to help,
that
yes.
provides 11 extra horsepower off the line or when you're passing people, and you're going to look down and realize you're about to get a ticket.
Yep, all the time.
I kind of like that, though.
I knew you would.
I kind of like it.
Low-hanging fruit for you.
It really is. I want the power because with a car this heavy, 4,169 pounds, so it's a heavy car, it moves, it scampers, it just goes, which is what I love. This car, I don't understand why it needs to exist.
I actually agree with you on that.
Why is it this? Do you really?
Yeah, and I agree with you because
why this?
What I've been thinking about a lot is we recently drove, 5-6 months ago, we drove the other 4 Series that they've sent us.
Yes.
They sent us the 430i convertible. Now, there's a few things that are key differences here. First off, that was the convertible, and it was the smaller engine.
Yeah.
And if you recall, during that entire review, we would not shut up about how fast that car felt with the small engine. Well, here we have the bigger car, bigger engine, because it's still the 4 Series, which means we get beaver teeth, but now we've enclosed it. It's not the coupe, it's the Gran Coupè, because what you should do is make a coupe version and then decide the coupe version should have a sedan. And the other thing that's interesting is the 440 only comes xDrive.
Yes.
If you want rear-wheel drive, you have to go to the smaller engine.
Yeah.
I think that the larger engine is fascinating and the xDrive kills almost everything about what I would like.
Okay.
I wish you could get the 440 rear-wheel drive. I think we would like it far more because 440 and xDrive only in this bigger package, I can't believe how different it feels from the 430 convertible, which we both really liked.
Yeah. Well, you might say, well, it's got to have all-wheel drive to contain all this glorious power. Well, this is the same B58 engine that is located in the GR Supra. And the good news is that engine was co-developed with BMW's M division, so the motorsports division, and Toyota to meet their quality standards. So that means you have Toyota-approved engine up front in this car.
That's a good point. Which
is great with all this power. And in a heavier car with all-wheel drive, it's not slow.
Nope.
I continually look down. I feel like we're barely moving.
It does shield you so much. Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome. And scary all at once. I love how this looks from a profile. I love the long nose. I love that long sweeping roof line towards the back. It's actually a beautiful line. You look at this from the rear 3/4, it's pretty good looking until you get to the front.
And then that happened.
The beaver teeth have not aged well.
No.
They're still there. They're still ugly. Some people like them, but I think the majority of planet Earth just doesn't like them.
That seems to be the feeling.
BMW doesn't care.
Yep, you're right.
So we have to take this as it is and say, all right, you're looking for a sedan. You're looking for something sporty. You've got 4 doors, and you've missed out on the Acura TLX. You've missed out on the Kia Stinger, but the car that competes the most with this, in terms of size, I think is the Genesis G70. The power is almost the same, and the price is at least $17,000 or $18,000 less, at least according to the MSRP.
This is $70,000.
Well, it's $70,000 without the dynamic steering, without adaptive suspension, and in this case, without power front seats.
Back to that convertible, the 430 we had?
Yeah.
It was $67,000. This is $67,000.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the lower engine convertible had all of the packages, rear wheel drive, all the dynamic
That's a
steering,
great point.
full electric seats, and we actually kept talking about it was expensive, but we liked it.
And it was still a rocket.
This is even faster, but it has no packages and manual seats, and it's the same price, and I'm struggling for why. It's not that we have a problem with manual seats, it's the price and the perception of the car with manual seats, and this has so many little knobs to try to adjust it that it just gets annoying. I end up driving in a position that's uncomfortable every time I drive this car because I'm like, that's close enough.
I'm close enough right now, but yes, it may be circumstantial. It may be part of the chip shortage
It might be.
that's going on at the
be.
time this car was built. We will give it a pass for that reason.
Because you have manual seats, you also don't have memory seats. I mean, this is an expensive car to not have those options.
You have heated seats,
and
but
it's
not
a
ventilation.
luxury car to not have that option, and that's inexplicable at this point in the market. And as you say, it might be chip shortage, there might be something beyond BMW's control as to why this car is this way, so maybe. But I think it's a huge misstep to have this car without power seats.
The beaver teeth. What are we all going to do? What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do?
I hate to say
There's
this.
no amount of complaining or subtle hints or anything to BMW. They're doing it.
BMW knows that people don't like it. The only way it's going to change is if people, and I hate to say this because there's good cars under here, if people don't buy those models. And my concern is that the real BMW hardcore fans are going to be determined to like it. Even if they didn't like it initially, they're coming around to, I like it now, I get what BMW's doing, I'm a hardcore fan, and so if BMW keeps selling enough of this styling, they're going to keep it. But if they don't sell the ones that look like this, then they will change it. It's going to be market forces only, and the ship may have sailed.
And the BMW buyer for this car isn't shopping any competition you and I can name.
You're probably
they
right.
Are not.
You're probably right.
Because they're BMW fans.
Yeah, you may be right.
It doesn't matter that we say TLX Type S or Genesis G70 or Kia Stinger or Alfa Giulia or any other cool, awesome sedan that we love. Doesn't matter because you're going to buy it because it's a BMW.
Maybe.
And you're going to just swallow it. You're just going to take one for the team. Just going to take it. I don't like it, but I'm going to take the teeth and I'm just going to say, yeah, they're good, they're distinctive, they're different, and they're ugly.
Well, and the person that buys this will definitely justify the looks. Even if they weren't on board, once they signed on the dotted line, they're going to have a reason to say that the styling works.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you in the comments are currently saying the reason the styling works. I know you are. I know you are. The consensus in car people in general seems to be an overwhelming, oh my God, what is that thing?
Yes. And here is the car. I think this is brilliant. I don't think the price is brilliant. I don't love the styling. But look everywhere else. The interior is well built, except for the door slam, which is kind of thin and tinny, and it needs framed window doors to really solve the thunk problem.
It does seem weird to have the frameless window.
It's not good. But otherwise, this is a likable car. It is.
Okay.
Look at the rest of the styling. Look at the sharp creases that define the two fender ridges and they fade out in the body side, and then it comes back and wraps around the back, and then that nice signature right along the body side. There's no molding. It's just really clean. And the signature shapes inside and outside are very consistent.
Yeah,
The taillights look great. The headlights look awesome. And then it's the teeth that prevent everything else. It's dragging the rest of the car down, unfortunately. Let's get inside. I like the seats for the most part, but the comfort, you and I have said for years, BMW seats have been the most comfortable and the most supportive of almost any car we've driven.
They have been the number one in seats for a while.
Because they're manual and because you don't even have the inflatable airbag lumbar thing, the comfort has gone down.
This is a poor showing of BMW seats. It is a poor showing.
It's not good. Now, again, chip shortage, that may be the case here. We don't know the backstory.
You can see the blanks in the sides of the seats where parts have not been put in.
Yeah.
So we think maybe,
But I like the shapes. I like the chunkiness of the steering wheel. I do like the seating position once you're kind of nearly there. But the big issue is now the back seat, lack of interior space. It's not built for you and I.
It isn't.
For most people, it will be okay, but it's having a problem because it's a beautiful profile, that coupe shape. It's intruding into your headroom. So what are you looking for? Is this just kind of your Autobahn Stormer, your go-to-work car? It's not really the family car. You're not going to load everybody into the family and take a long road trip in this. Despite when you fold the rear seats down and this huge hatch, there's an amazing amount of space.
Good amount of space.
So therefore, it's a hatchback with no back seats. It's a useful, big hatchback. Leave those rear seats down all the time, and you got a lot of space.
That's interesting. I see that approach. It becomes a weird hauler.
Yeah.
I will say, I took a family trip. There were 5 of us in this car, okay? And there were 3 people across the back. Now, BMW talks about this as a 5-seat car. The people in the back disagreed. They said it is a 4-seat car because putting 3 people in the back was too many people. However, the key thing was that all of the people in the back were under 5'10", and they were okay.
Right.
They were okay. They weren't great. There's enough legroom, and we had a decent drive-in, and everybody was all right. Their complaint was actually they felt like 3 across was too much, but they didn't talk about headroom and all that. They thought that was okay.
But why? Why don't you just go to the 5 Series?
That
the
is
wheelbase
key.
is 5 inches longer. There's 2 inches more rear leg space, and it kind of solves the problem. So why not just not get the 4 Series, get the 5, and then you have the room that you're actually kind of needing.
I think you could get away with the 3 and be as happy or happier.
You probably could, because you don't get that much more space than you get here.
And you get headroom, which is the thing that you're lacking.
It's time for you to drive.
Yeah, it is.
Ready to not be impressed?
Yeah. It does have a bit of a clank to it, doesn't it? Yeah, that's not good.
Not for a $67,000 car.
I hear you. Yeah. How good you're in sport already.
Too bad. Well, you could do kind of a launch. You could just launch yourself off on the on-ramp here. Yeah. It's not slow.
And with the all-wheel drive, it digs in and vanishes.
Yeah.
There's no question this has power. 0 to 60 in the mid-4s. If you go down to the 430, it's 0 to 60 still under 6, which is not slow. I kept thinking about this in comparison to BMW because of that 430 that we drove, and then also in comparison to the competition. And I came to a couple of interesting thoughts. We talk about on the podcast how important power is or isn't. This is a fascinating proof that power doesn't always make something better because it has more power, and I don't think we like it more.
Right.
It also is a fascinating proof of the fact that features matter.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think both of us would take that 430 convertible over this 440 four-door car.
Absolutely.
And the 430
100%.
was exactly the same price from exactly the same brand.
Yeah.
But it had every single package, which made it too expensive. We both talked about $67,000 for the base engine is too expensive.
Yeah.
And then I got in this and thought, I'd rather have that.
I think
As expensive as it was, I'd rather have that. So
that's amazing.
Having manual seats is amazing how that has affected our enjoyment of the car. And it should be, you would think, in normal car internet thinking, you would think, but I have so much more power, it's not going to matter. It does matter. It has undermined.
Yeah.
We got more power. The 0 to 60 came down by like a second. I've got all-wheel drive. I can take off. I can hold. Did you know that you can hold the left paddle down and the car will find all of the optimal settings to go as fast as possible right now. Best gear, best combination of power. It will just go, oh, you ready to go?
Move.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. You would think that would just gloss over any issues we have, and it doesn't. I sit here going, where are my power seats? Why doesn't this feel better? Why does it feel more luxurious? And the lesser model had that stuff, and I liked it more.
You're 100% right. I think about features like the sport suspension. This has M Sport suspension. It is standard on the 440i xDrive.
Yep.
But it doesn't have the adaptive suspension. And this does have the M Sport brakes, but it doesn't have the dynamic handling package. And it's still not at least 50% better than any of the competitors that you and I have named. The horsepower is impressive. It's great to be here on a road trip. I could totally see us sitting here for a long road trip, and it'd be great. Comfortable, fast, smooth, enjoyable. The tech, the materials. I still don't understand linen leather seats because the bolster on the driver's seat is already dirty from blue jeans. You
Yep.
can already see it.
Yep. Speaking with shopping sedans, and then also speaking of your road trip thing, it gives me two thoughts. First
Okay.
off, I started to think, okay, I like all of the competitors you've listed, but you could argue, well, but none of those competitors are a step down. You could argue that this is the step up.
Okay.
Maybe.
Eh.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't.
Maybe.
But here's my problem.
Just squeeze something.
When I drive,
I don't. Just
the 440i,
squeeze.
squeeze something. There's our
Squeeze.
title right there.
Squeeze something, it'll let you know.
But here's the thing I think in driving it. This may as well be the 7. This should feel smaller than it is. This should feel more agile than it does. This is not the big BMW. And this may as well be the BMW 7 Series as far as the dynamics are concerned. And if I'm going to drive a car that feels that big, it needs to be that big. I need to be like the man now and luxury
You need to
and
feel it,
feeling like
okay.
I got the space and my money went into a luxury big old sedan.
Yeah.
If I'm not gonna
Yeah.
have all those features, then the car needs to feel like I'm smaller in the lineup and I got more agility back. I don't.
It needs to feel smaller than a 5 Series.
It
needs
doesn't.
to.
It doesn't.
It
I
doesn't.
think it feels very similar to the 7. We drove the 7 not that long ago. I don't think the 7 feels much bigger than this.
BMW says the handling and characteristics of this car are agile. And I would say it is to a point. There's an initial good turn in.
Yes.
And we're on winter tires, by the way. So there's a little bit of squishiness
And the
turning in. It has a faster steering rack and it has the M Sport diff as standard on this car.
Yep. And the all-wheel drive, the X-Drive that is required on the 440, mutes anything resembling steering feel or agility.
Yes.
It kills all of that. So then I start thinking about, okay, all right, I'm going to buy a mid-level luxury sedan. I like the coupe four-door look. Across the board in stats and price, I would prefer the Audi S5. It looks far better.
It does.
The interior feels more like luxury.
Yeah.
It has similar space. It has quattro all-wheel drive. It has it's almost like somebody was cheating off of somebody's paper. The power stats and the 0 to 60 are right on top of each other.
Ingolstadt isn't that far from you.
I know.
It's about an hour drive.
Somebody
Audi's
took a little field trip and looked at somebody else's paper is all I'm saying.
That's funny.
I think if you are shopping in this market and you don't like the Genesis G7, you don't like the Alfa Giulia, by the way,
Right.
you're missing out on both those cars. You
Right.
don't like the Kia Stinger. You don't even want the 3 Series. You want different. You want the coupe styling. You walk over to Audi and you get the S5. You spend the same money and you get that car, and I think you will be happier. And I hate to say it because that 430 was so good.
Well, the Audi isn't going to handle or turn in any worse.
No,
It's not.
no, how this feels, no. If this were available in rear-wheel drive, we might have an argument.
Yes.
I might be like, but the BMW is available rear-wheel drive, and so you get
and
some
that
steering
might
agility.
lighten
and that
up the
could be
front
interesting,
end, and
but
you could
nope.
feel some. Yeah.
So I think the 440i BMW makes me want to have an Audi. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yow.
And a BMW fan is raging at me in the comments right now. But look at that 430i piece. It's not that we don't like BMWs or we don't even like the 4
We
Series.
loved that
in
car.
spite of the style.
It's fantastic.
This isn't working for me. And I hate to say it. And if you put all the packages on that make it a standout, let's just say every single package on the planet made this a standout. What is that car going to cost now? 20 grand more?
You need to go shop Porsches, or you need to go shop
Just about.
anything else, or cut your budget in half and get 2 cars for that kind of money.
Yeah. .440i is not twice a 2.
Twice a 2.
It's not 2 times a 2 Series.
You could get a 228i.
You could. Money left over.
Money left over. For
Do not buy the Gran Coupè 2 Series because that's a
Yeah,
terrible
don't do
front-wheel
that.
drive disaster.
Well, it's-
We're talking the actual rear-wheel drive one.
That's also $50,000 too.
Yes. What is going on?